For the French, the Louvre is not just a museum. It is history, identity, and national pride sealed in stone. A former royal palace turned into the most visited museum on Earth. 9 million people a year walk through those doors. Priceless art, crown jewels, centuries of legacy, all protected by scanners, cameras, reinforced glass, and layers of security designed to make theft unthinkable. This place was supposed to be untouchable, bulletproof, impossible to rob. And yet, on a quiet Sunday morning in October 2025, that illusion collapsed. In just 7 minutes, thieves walked into the heart of the Louvre and walked out with treasures worth 88 million euros. No explosions, no shootouts, no Hollywood theatrics. Just precision, confidence, and a system that blinked at the wrong moment. This wasn't just a robbery. It was a direct strike at France's history. And this is how the Louvre got hit in broad daylight. For decades, the Louvre carried a reputation few institutions could match. Once home to French kings, it became the ultimate public treasure house. 35,000 works of art spanning more than 9,000 years of human civilization. The Mona Lisa, the Winged Victory, the Venus de Milo, and tucked away in a golden hall on the first floor, what remains of France's crown jewels. Security reflected that importance. Controlled entrances funneled visitors through metal detectors, guard routes planned to the minute, multiple cameras lining every corridor, a 24/7 operations center monitoring movement in real time. But this confidence wasn't born from arrogance. It came from experience. August 21st, 1911. A simple handyman named Vincenzo Peruggia walked into the Louvre during his shift, lifted the Mona Lisa off the wall in the Salon Carré, tucked it under his work coat, and walked out a side door. For 2 years, the most famous painting in the world sat in a trunk under his bed in Paris while the planet went insane searching for it. When Peruggia was finally caught trying to sell it in Italy, France didn't just get the Mona Lisa back, they got a brutal lesson: never again. Since then, the museum rebuilt its defenses layer by layer. The Louvre became a fortress. Cameras, motion sensors, vibration alarms, armed response teams. Everything designed to make sure 1911 never happened again, which is why the target chosen by the thieves felt almost absurd. The Galerie de Pognon, a 60-meter hall blazing with gold leaf and Baroque frescoes, housing what remains of the French crown jewels, necklaces worn by Marie Antoinette, ceremonial pieces tied directly to Napoleon III, diamond tiaras that sparkled at imperial balls, not hidden, not remote, just 250 meters from the Mona Lisa herself. Crowded with tourists, monitored by cameras, protected by thick bulletproof glass, vibration sensors that scream if you touch them, motion alarms in the corners, and guards trained to notice everything. This was the last place anyone would expect a heist. The most protected room in the most protected museum in the world. That belief would be turned against them. This was not an impulsive crime. Every decision shows preparation. The thieves studied routines, response times, blind spots, and, most importantly, human assumptions. They understood one fundamental truth. People ignore what looks normal. Here's what makes this heist remarkable. First, the timing. Sunday morning, the quietest window of the week. Saturday night tourists sleep in. Business travelers haven't arrived yet. Staff levels dropped compared to the weekly peaks. The Galerie de Pognon, normally packed elbow to elbow, has scattered groups instead of crowds. The museum was open but relaxed. That was the opening. Second, the construction zone. For 3 weeks before the heist, scaffolding covered the Dinan Wing's exterior for routine maintenance. Stone cleaning, window restoration. Workers in bright yellow vests had become part of the scenery. Guards stopped paying attention. Tourists ignored it. The construction crew didn't work Sundays, which meant the area would be empty, but not suspicious. A lift truck parked there wouldn't raise eyebrows. It would look like someone forgot to move equipment. Shortly after 9:30 a.m. on October 19th, an ordinary basket lift rolled toward the Louvre's facade. The men operating it wore yellow high-visibility vests, standard French construction gear, hooded jackets, potentially helmets. Nothing suspicious. Two men ascended in the basket lift to the second-floor balcony, where they used power tools to cut through a window and enter the Galerie d'Apollon. Two men waited below on motor scooters to act as getaway drivers once the first two descended. Out came a blowtorch. The flame heated the metal window frame, weakening its structure and melting the weather seals. Then an angle grinder, a handheld power tool with a diamond-tipped blade spinning at 11,000 RPM. The window gave way in under 3 minutes. At 9:33 a.m., a window sensor triggered an alarm in the command center. A red light flashed on the security board, but the protocol assumed a malfunction. Maybe a bird strike, not an actual breach by the thieves. The thieves now had their way in. Inside the Galerie d'Apollon, there was no hesitation, no wandering, no searching. They went straight to two specific display cases in the center of the hall. The grinders roared to life. Sparks erupted. The noise was deafening, a shrieking mechanical howl that sent the handful of early morning tourists scrambling toward the exits in confusion and terror. One tourist, Miguel Herrera from Barcelona, was filming a panoramic shot of the gallery when the thieves appeared. His shaky phone footage captured one man crouched over a display case, grinder in hand, cutting through the final corner of bulletproof glass. You can see the yellow jacket, the shower of white-hot sparks, the methodical angle of the cut. 14 seconds of evidence. Reinforced glass, designed to withstand hammers, bullets, and explosives, was pulverized in minutes. In under 7 minutes total, the thieves stole several significant pieces, including the Empress Eugenie's diamond bow brooch, her pearl diadem, an emerald necklace and earrings from Empress Marie-Louise, and parts of sapphire parure, tiara, necklace, and earrings, belonging to Queens Marie Amélie and Hortense, plus a unique reliquary brooch. Each piece is historically priceless, collectively worth 88 million euros. Security alarms blared, protocols activated. Security locked down the gallery entrances to contain the threat. Guards, who aren't armed, began evacuating surrounding rooms. An American tourist described it.
When they swept us out of the gallery, swept us down the stairs by the Winged Victory, then we were headed out.
Visitors were rushed down staircases, past the Winged Victory sculpture, and out of the building, confused, terrified, unaware that the Louvre itself was under attack. But here's the fatal flaw. The nearest armed police unit was at the pyramid entrance, 400 meters away through a maze of galleries. The unit outside on Rue de Rivoli was over a kilometer away. Response time, 5 to 6 minutes. The heist took 7. That delay was everything. The thieves retraced their steps, out the window, down the lift. They hit the ground and stripped off the yellow high-visibility vests and helmets, dark clothing underneath. Abandoned the lift right there on the street. Sprinted to a side alley. 2 scooters were waiting. Not motorcycles, scooters. The kind that weave through Paris traffic every single day. Completely unremarkable. 4 men, 2 scooters. They accelerated south toward the Seine, crossed the Pont Royal bridge, merged into traffic, and vanished. Armed police arrived, but it was already too late. But one thing went wrong. During the escape, a 19th century ceremonial crown was dropped, or deliberately discarded to reduce weight. The crown was discovered by the museum security and police investigators near the scene, damaged and discarded by the thieves as they fled away. It was damaged, but recoverable. The only piece police would ever see again. Inside the Louvre, doors sealed. The museum closed. The hunt began. Forensics moved fast. Fingerprints lifted from the lift controls, smudged but usable. Surveillance footage pulled from corridors, streets, and intersections. Investigators interviewed around 20 witnesses who were in the Apollo Gallery, with reports also mentioning 60 investigators, questioning people, and reviewing evidence as part of the large-scale operation, involving numerous interviews and forensic analysis. Then, investigators uncovered another layer. The lift had been rented 9 days earlier from a local company. The rental form listed a construction company and included a photocopy of a French driver's license. Both fake. The company didn't exist. The license was a forgery. When the rental company's driver delivered the lift to the pickup address, 2 men arrived in a motorbike. They threatened the rental company's driver and forced him to hand over the vehicle. While the thieves were aggressive, Reports indicate that no weapons were actually produced and no one was injured during the incident. They took the lift, repainted it white, removed the company logos, installed fake license plates, loaded their tools. Professionals. The conclusion came quickly. An experienced crew exploited a construction zone to perform a surgical smash and grab. They were last seen on traffic cameras heading south, likely aiming to leave Paris entirely. Then, 7 days later, French police made a major announcement. 9 suspects detained in coordinated raids across Paris and its suburbs. 5 formally charged with organized theft and damaging cultural property. Phone records, surveillance footage, informant testimony, all connecting them to the planning and execution. But here's the problem. Despite the arrests, police announced that the jewels themselves had not been recovered. The suspects refused to cooperate. No one would say where the pieces were, which means even with people in custody, the crown jewels of France remain missing, and the clock is ticking. France woke up furious. This wasn't just theft, it was a humiliation. President Emmanuel Macron called the raid an intolerable attack on our heritage. He formed a special task force combining national police, Interpol, and cultural property investigators. Marine Le Pen called it a wound to the French soul and suggested budget cuts under Macron's administration created the vulnerability. Gérald Darmanin, French Justice Minister, says, "We have failed," suggesting that the French state failed in its core duty, protecting national heritage. The Louvre's director gave a tearful press conference, describing the loss as incalculable, not in money, but in what these pieces represent. And the timing made it worse. This wasn't isolated. In recent months, 2 Paris museums had been hit. The National Museum of Natural History lost nearly 6 kilograms of rare gold nuggets and quartz specimens, while the raw gold was worth approximately 600,000 euros. And now, the Louvre. A pattern was forming. Paris, the cultural capital of Europe, was being systematically targeted by organized crime. Public pressure exploded. Opposition politicians demanded answers. Hundreds of Louvre employees went on strike. The Louvre closed for 3 days. Tourism officials worried about international perception. Authorities were under fire to stop what looked like a systemic failure. Because if the Louvre wasn't safe, nothing was. Now, the clock is ticking. Here's the brutal reality. Pieces this famous cannot be sold intact. Empress Eugenie's tiara is one of the most photographed pieces of jewelry in European history. Any collector, any auction house, any jeweler on Earth would recognize it instantly and call the police, which leaves thieves with 3 options, and all 3 require destroying the pieces. Option 1, break them apart immediately. Pry out the 212 pearls from the tiara. Remove the sapphires and rubies from the crown. Separate Marie Antoinette's pearls. Melt down the gold settings into anonymous ingots. Sell the loose stones through gray market dealers in Antwerp, Dubai, or Mumbai. You lose most of the value, but you get cash fast and eliminate evidence. Option 2, wait for the insurance company to offer a ransom. High-value thefts sometimes end with insurers quietly putting out no questions asked rewards. Pay 20 million euros to recover 88 million euros in jewels, save 68 million euros. The thieves wait 6 months, use a lawyer as intermediary, and make the exchange. Option 3, commission a master jeweler to completely redesign the pieces. Take the diamonds and reset them into entirely new jewelry that looks nothing like the originals. The stones get recut, the settings melted and recast. Takes months, but if done well, the stones can eventually be sold legitimately. Experts agree on one thing: the first 2 weeks matter most. If stolen artifacts are recovered within days, they're usually intact. After that, history gets melted down. The thieves left behind scooters, a lift, yellow vests, 1 damaged crown. But the rest, gone. And the suspects in custody aren't talking, which raises the most uncomfortable question. Did they have inside help? Someone who knew the guard schedules, the camera blind spots, the response protocols? That level of intelligence doesn't come from Google. It comes from access. Can France catch the thieves before centuries of history disappear forever? Or will the Louvre's greatest treasures be reduced to raw materials and black market stones? That answer is still unfolding. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the update when this case breaks. And drop a comment. Do you think the jewels are already destroyed or sitting in a vault somewhere waiting for ransom? See you in the next one.